Hello, I'm Kristen Reeves here with 24 Seconds of Climate Reality. Did you know that some of our largest and most visible businesses are seeing that green energy is good for business? Familiar brands like Kohl's department stores, REI, and Staples are now receiving more than 100% of their total electrical use from renewables. And that's 24 seconds that can change the world.
What can change in a day? A solar array can power a community. A business can embrace clean technology. A nation can vote to reduce carbon pollution. Around the world, every day, people are taking action to fight climate change, enacting real solutions, and already seeing the benefits. Join us as we travel on a journey of progress around the world, exploring the path toward a better, cleaner future for all of us, and how you can help create it. What can change in a day? Our future. This is 24 Hours of Reality. 24 Reasons for Hope.
Welcome to hour 9 of 24 Hours of Reality. Now, I've run the numbers, you guys, and that means that we're more than 1/3 of the way there. So there's no turning back now. And that's good, because so far, we're already seeing encouraging progress in this great cause. This hour, we'll put the spotlight on the fact that many large businesses and global brands are going green. In the hours to come, we'll see that there's more good news where that came from, and we'll have some fascinating field reports and inspiring music. And right now, you guys, it's my privilege to introduce a man who's bringing his insight and wisdom to all 24 hours of this event, Al Gore.
Well, thank you very much, and I'm excited about hour 9, and that means we have the 9th reason for hope. And actually, this is one of the reasons that makes me the most optimistic about our ability to solve the climate crisis. And what I'm talking about are the ongoing efforts of so many in the business community. Why? Well, they're embracing clean energy and sustainability solutions, not only because many of their customers are demanding it and because it enhances their brand value, but also because it makes simple, good business sense. They save money, they reduce expenses. The business world's adoption of clean energy technology, for example, sends a very powerful signal. It tells us that renewable energy is not some ideological pursuit, it's just common sense. Indeed, some of the biggest names in business are now leading the charge. And you could even say, with a few exceptions, that business is ahead of governments. And one reason I'll repeat is that businesses dealing with the public, who wish the public to have a good feeling about their brands, because they know that those good feelings translate into repeat business and a preference for a business brand that they admire over one that they do not. So consumer-facing businesses are really making a lot of major changes. But businesses that simply keep a careful eye on how to reduce expenses where they can are often among the leaders in adopting renewable energy and sustainability solutions. You add it all up and you get the 9th reason for hope. Many large businesses and global brands are finding that it makes sense to go green. I want to start with an announcement today, just a few hours ago, where 19 large companies joined with the Obama administration just today to announce a sharp reduction in their use of hydrofluorocarbons. Sounds technical, but HFCs are incredibly powerful global warming pollutants. In fact, each molecule of an HFC is almost 10,000 times as powerful as a molecule of CO2 when it comes to trapping heat in the atmosphere. So these businesses joined with the president to say they're going green where their phasing out of HFCs is concerned. Most of our focus has been on CO2 because that's the main source of global warming pollution. But in solving the climate crisis, we also have to address these other kinds of pollutants. And these HFCs, even though the volume is somewhat low, they are so potent that they really do make a big difference. So here's another example today of large businesses leading the way in reducing global warming pollution. Oh, by the way, there was another announcement today from NASA that on a global basis, the month of August just passed was the hottest August ever measured with instruments since they've been using instruments to measure temperature. Yet another example of record-breaking increases in temperature. But this is a great day for business to take a leadership role. And you see highly visible actions around the world, like this from Sanyo, the Japanese company, putting a very visible solar charging station out in front of their business. You no doubt have seen such examples yourself. But here is what I regard as more important than the public displays, and that is the hard-nosed accounting results. When businesses like these, UPS, Cisco, PepsiCo, GM, Intel, Walmart, announce the very real savings in costs that they are achieving by going green. And by the way, this is becoming a fairly common story. Sometimes a company will decide to go green because they want their customers to know they care. They believe it's going to be good for business to have a forward-looking position on solving the climate crisis. And then they find out to their surprise that they're saving a lot of money by going in that direction. Anyway, these are 6 examples. Let's look a little bit more closely at Walmart. Walmart has a controversial company in some ways, I know, but where it comes to climate, they have really gone the extra mile, and they deserve an enormous amount of credit. I really admire what they have done. A couple of quick examples. They've increased renewable energy use 6 times over just in the last, I'm sorry, they've pledged to increase it 6 times over in just the next 6 years. I happen to know that they have already increased it a great deal in the past. I went down to Arkansas for the kickoff of their sustainability shift several years ago, and I've watched them carefully since then. They also plan to save $1 billion per year by the use of renewable energy and energy efficiency measures. That's real money, and in the business world, it really is important. If you look at the Fortune 100 companies, the largest companies in the world, 60% of them have now set clean energy targets and greenhouse gas or global warming pollution reduction targets. That's very impressive. And again, when I say business is ahead of politicians, if only 60% of all the politicians in America had set targets for solving the climate crisis, we'd be in a lot better shape. Let's look at some examples. AT&T announced a plan some time ago to have 8.9 megawatts of renewable energy in place by the end of 2012. Well, here we are in 2014, and they have more than doubled that, 19.8 megawatts. Great job, very impressive. Dell, the computer manufacturer, of course, estimates that just improving the efficiency of its products is going to save its customers over $1 billion annually. If you look at PepsiCo, one of the companies that has really made a point of promoting sustainability, not just as a branding exercise, but authentically. I've watched it happen. They have even gone to the trouble to develop their own proprietary way of tracking water use, tracking emissions, tracking waste generation, and it's a very clever, very effective tool, very useful, and they're making it available to its subcontractors and suppliers and all its distributors. Another example, HP. They promised to set a goal to double renewable energy use from 4% to 8% of all of the energy they use. Well, look, they not only reached the mid-range of that goal, they greatly exceeded the high range. They now get 13% from renewable sources, and they're still attempting to do more. Verizon, another fantastic company, and their chief sustainability officer says it's not just about going green, echoing something I said earlier. It's about driving shareholder value. It's about building in redundancy, because green energy, regardless of what industry you're in, as he puts it, regardless of what's going on, it is good for all. And more to come from Verizon, I happen to know. Google has already spent more than $1 billion on clean energy products to power their energy-intensive data centers. Data centers around the world, by the way, if you look at the industry as a whole, is now a little higher than 2% of global emissions. So this is a big deal when you have these kinds of expenditures. Apple, I'm on the board of Apple, so forgive me for feeling and expressing a little pride in what Tim Cook and the executive team and the whole employee base at Apple have done. I'm really very proud of them. And by the way, Lisa Jackson, the former head of the Environmental Protection Agency, is now helping to lead the charge with Tim Cook. And they have really spoken out forcefully, and I'm proud of them. I've already said, I'm sure you can recognize that. But here's one reason why. Across all of its facilities, Apple uses 94% renewable energy. That's really taken a lot. They have the largest privately owned solar farm in the world, in Maiden, North Carolina. But let's keep going, because there's some companies that already get 100% of their electricity from renewable sources. Look at all these companies, Intel, Kohl's. I won't read off the entire list, but you recognize these brands. They're world famous. Now, do you think that they would waste money in getting 100% of their electricity from renewable sources? No, they've done it because it makes good economic sense. Now, this is a list of some of the big companies in the United States that have pledged to take action on climate. These are some of the major corporations and investment firms that are supporting the climate declaration, asking for progress toward an agreement to solve the climate crisis. I couldn't even possibly list all the medium-sized and small businesses that are supporting action on climate. It's an extremely impressive list, and it gives me a great deal of hope. And actually, business as a whole, large, medium, small, not all, but as a whole, business is actually ahead of politicians. There are a few businesses, including some of the largest carbon polluters, including some of their ideological allies that just have extremist positions that the government shouldn't do anything. They believe there's no such thing as the public interest. They've been fighting against action to solve the climate crisis. But that should not cause us to lose sight of what the majority in the business world are doing. They are actually moving forward. It is an incredible incredibly hopeful development, and it's continuing. You will hear more about it, I predict, at the UN summit next week. But the fact that business is taking the lead in stepping up efforts to solve the climate crisis, that is another reason for hope.
All right, today it's time to listen to what the man said. And why not start by being part of the solution by pledging to dedicate a day of action in the year to come? Right now, we're asking you to join them. Now, while you're watching right now, pledge a day of climate action, whether it's voting, marching, or speaking out in your community and giving your friends the information they need to make a world of difference. What can change in a day? With millions standing up together, what can't? Go to 24hoursofreality.org to dedicate a day to climate action. Climate change is a big and complex issue, and some would have you believe that it's too hard or too costly, too complex to solve. In fact, we know we can do this. Solutions exist. People are already seeing the benefits, and it's up to all of us to see that this expansion of progress sweeps the globe. That's why we're sharing the good news, that we can do this.
Carbon dioxide has reached levels not seen in millions of years.
Climate change is here and getting worse.
Extreme weather has wrought havoc all over the world.
It's happening here and now.
We are running out of
damage
time.
by the water.
So there's been a lot of news about climate change. A lot of bad news, that is. And for the good news?
Right.
Well, there hasn't really been any. Until recently. Today we're facing the hard truth of climate change with the stubborn relentlessness of human will. And good news is happening.
Right. And now for some good news.
Every day, new solutions are emerging. And not just wouldn't it be neat if solutions, real solutions. Our ability to convert sunshine into usable energy is rapidly becoming more advanced and accessible. Which is great because every hour the sun is sending enough raw energy to Earth to meet the entire world's energy demands for a full year. And the cost for clean energy technologies is dropping. Right now, the cost of solar energy is equal to or cheaper than fossil fuel energy in about 79 countries.
I didn't even know there were 79 countries.
And the electric car market is booming thanks to falling battery prices. And guess who likes that?
Who?
All types of people from around the world are starting to embrace renewable solutions. Schools are being powered by clean energy. Financial institutions are realizing dirty energy is a bad investment. And businesses are finding that going green is good for the bottom line. Which leads us to more good news. These solutions are actually working. It turns out that what is good for the environment is also good for the economy in many ways, like reducing poverty, spurring innovation, and creating jobs. In 2013, nearly 6.5 million people were employed globally by the renewable energy industry.
Job creation. Brilliant.
Right. And while other industries are shrinking, renewables are growing as new technologies and capabilities are being rapidly discovered.
And here's some more great news.
This groundswell of support for renewable energy is forcing leaders and governments to take action. The two biggest carbon emitters, China and the US, have made moves to curb their carbon pollution and invest in cleaner energy technologies. And they're not alone. UN Secretary General Ban Ki-moon is convening nations to forge a climate treaty that could unify the world to work together and lower our carbon emissions, transitioning us to a global clean energy society. We all know the bad news. Climate change is here. It's big, it's bad, and it's hurting us and our economies. But the important thing to know is that there is also good news. We have solutions here today, not dreams or wishes, real-world solutions that are ready to go and that are already saving money and improving lives.
Everyone's a winner.
If we rally around this good news and embrace solutions, we can forge the path to a clean energy future and make sure that progress is our new reality.
That's good news. Thank you for watching.
That's the big picture, and I think you'll agree, quite a beautiful one. But to keep our world a beautiful place now and for future generations, we'll need to educate ourselves more about the benefits of clean energy and its role in saving lives. The many businesses that are adopting sustainable practices are proving to be a force for clean energy growth and climate-smart adaptations around the world. And our first report from the field, 24 Hours of Reality, travels to Mexico to see how partners are collaborating to save the threatened cocoa industry, as well as the people who rely on it for their livelihoods.
In the heart of Mexico, there is a transportation company that is adopting new technologies and practices to minimize their business's ecological impact and provide funding and support for local farmers who are cultivating an ancient and sustainable crop. That company is ADO.
Mi nombre es Andrés Pérez Peña Campos y soy coordinador corporativo de programas de Fundación ADO. El Grupo ADO es una empresa de más de 80 años de existir. Son 26,000 empleados, somos 6,000 autobuses. La zona de influencia es el sureste de la República Mexicana y además tiene negocios de autobuses en España y en Guatemala.
ADO is one of many large businesses and brands who have made a commitment to going green, believing it is their responsibility to play a role in tackling climate change in their own communities.
En la operación del negocio no solamente con biodiesel en los autobuses, también se incorpora tecnología para reducir las emisiones de dióxido de carbono.
All of ADO's Turbuses in Mexico City have a biodiesel engine that greatly reduces the emissions of pollutants. Another way ADO is going green is through its tire recycling program.
La revisamos y si vemos que sí es posible hacer su reutilización, nosotros mandamos una llanta. En esa situación, a nosotros nos regresan una llanta de esta manera.
ADO is also making the move to go paperless.
Aproximadamente en 2 meses, pedir refacciones y demás va a ser ya vía electrónica.
In addition to these internal green initiatives, the ADO Foundation is a key supporter of programs with an emphasis on economic and environmental development. One program ADO supports is the Mexican Cacao Foundation.
Por ejemplo, el proyecto de cacao. Este es un proyecto muy noble porque estos árboles permiten que no se erosione la tierra, son muy amigables con otras plantaciones, entonces pueden tener flores, pueden tener árboles, ayudan a la absorción de dióxido de carbono, a la emisión de oxígeno.
An 8-hour drive from ADO's headquarters in Mexico City will bring you to some of the plantations they are helping to restore.
We're located right now in Tabasco, which is the south part of Mexico. And here right next to it, we have Chiapas as well, which is the region of the Mayans. They were the first ones who started consuming cocoa.
There are many, many varieties of Creole cocoa that belong to the Mayans and that we want for future generations.
There are many companies that are interested in recuperating the cocoa production. Companies like Hershey, Mars. Also, we're going to start a project in 2015 with the World Economic Forum to recoup cocoa plantations.
The foundation educates farmers on a demonstration plot on their own land. They are then able to scale up this knowledge, applying it to their entire plantation. Farmers like Matilda Morales Garcia are instructed on many sustainable farming techniques.
We do studies of the soil and we check what nutrients it lacks to provide them in a natural way. There is a pesticide that doesn't use any chemicals and doesn't damage the environment, and you can use a mixture of chili and garlic that you spread with water on the plantation. We want the farmers to be self-sustainable and to transfer the know-how and knowledge to them, bringing agricultural engineers and also technicians that are experts in the field of cocoa that can train them in best agricultural practices, and once they have the know-how, then they replicate it on the rest of their plantations. So right now, with the training that the engineering and the Mexican Cocoa Foundation and ADO is providing to them, they're recuperating the production, so they're taking care of their trees because they can make a living out of them, but also they can protect the environment at the same time that they have a good quality of life.
The farmers face many challenges in returning their plantations to optimal condition. The age of the trees, poor maintenance practices, encroaching non-native crops, and the destructive Monilla fungus are just a few of the obstacles. Ferencio Sainia is the owner of this plantation.
What he's telling us is that in this plantation, you can see more shadow in here. And that's the reason why you find so much Monilia, because it dries because of the fungus. They cannot sell something like this and it's wasted. On the other side, they are not finding Monilia like this because the sun is coming in, so the fungus doesn't have the environment to grow so much in the other area.
Ferencio is losing 70% of the cacao fruit in this area due to the Monilia fungus. By clearing the forest floor, the farmers not only battle the fungus, but create a new income stream from selling the highly fertile compost created from the leaves.
The plantation is very old. One of the reasons why the production is decreasing is because of the age of the trees. This plantation is 35 to 40 years old. So it belonged to his father, then he inherited the land. That's why we need to renew some of the trees.
Reforestation is another area the foundation is helping farmers by providing them young trees to revitalize the plantations.
We're here at the nursery garden. Here are the young cocoa trees that will stay here for 6 months, and then we will take into the plantations of the farmers to reforest.
Revitalizing and protecting the plantations is only one part of the Foundation's action plan. Another is giving the farmers the tools they need to process and sell the cacao themselves, which will have a ripple effect on the economy in their community.
And we want to teach them the process so they can become entrepreneurs and sell their own chocolate in a long term and be self-sustainable in every way.
All of this process is natural because the sun is doing the process without anything artificial, without using extra energy. It's just with the use of the energy of the sun that's heating and drying the cocoa to have it ready to take it to the plant or to the factory.
With ADO's funding and the Mexican Cacao Foundation's expertise and assistance, cacao farmers are receiving the knowledge, the tools, and the support they need to revitalize, reforest, and increase the production of their plantations. The program is succeeding in creating a healthier environment, economy, and community.
I'm asking her, like, what would she like to have in the future, you know, like what does she expect from the project? And she's telling me, like, I just hope to follow up doing this and continue the work that you have taught me. What I see for this project in the future is having much more plantations of cocoa, the ones that were deforested and turning into sugarcane, coming back to plant cocoa. I also see myself helping, sharing my knowledge with all of these farmers so they can become themselves entrepreneurs, but sustainable entrepreneurs. And how can we transmit this information to them so they take care of their own environment and their rivers and their trees and just protect what is ours, because we're really connected to nature. And as long as nature is fine, we will be fine.
When the strength of big business joins forces with the hard work of local farmers and programs meant to increase environmental consciousness, there is hope. Hope for a sustainable future with a healthy environment and better quality of life for everyone.
When you talk about big business, it doesn't get much more ambitious than China's developing wind power. Now, in this report from the field, we take a first-hand look at the world's most populous country and its groundbreaking wind farm installations, a true marvel of technology.
I think right now with the Chinese citizens, we're at a stage of the public really being at the highest level of sort of environmental awareness that there has been in recent memory in China. In most cases right now it's been focused on the problems, so air pollution is really the biggest concern. And that concern, I think, is a positive thing for putting pressure on China to basically change the way it does business.
我觉得这个是可以的，因为毕竟这个项目也是一个绿色能源项目，然后对达标减排也是有一个好处的。 我觉得中国可以加大对新能源资源的一种投入和开发，降低煤炭就是火力发电带来的污染。
因为中国经过这么多年的发展，有的地方已经爆发出来了，就是有那种污染的问题。然后现在的人对于下一代的要求就是说，我们希望会生活的环境好一点，我们后代会生活的好一点，这个是必然的。我们确实希望那个污染被控制。
China right now is in the middle of an environmental crisis. There's no question about that. In every area of the environment, air pollution, climate pollution, water pollution, natural resources, China is facing tremendous pressures. And it's because of 40 years of often more than 10% a year economic growth. I'm hopeful that China will get control of its climate change problems eventually because of really two reasons. I think one, that the leadership and citizens alike have recognized that the current growth model just can't go on. And second, I think there are economic opportunities in the so-called clean tech revolution. So people believe that these industries can really be the industries of the future for China.
Well, the coming projects we are doing for Longyan is a 100 megawatt project. And that project will be able to give power to 80,000 houses, right? So it can change something, these fairly big offshore parks, but not enough. We need more, right? We need bigger, better, greener.
作为从事新能源开发的一员，有一种责任感，让我们去改善我们的生存的环境。
China is still a very government-oriented, top-down run system. So the way that this started was through a series of policy pronouncements at the top and a series of targets where they announced in the 11th five-year plan it was an energy efficiency target and targets to reduce sulfur dioxide and a measure of water pollution. And so these targets were ones that companies and government officials had to meet. And so what we saw in the 11th five-year plan, the positive side of it was that it led to more investment in pollution controls.
Siemens wanted to be part of the offshore here in China, and Longyan wanted our turbine because it's a very nice and reliable turbine. So it came on and negotiations started, and within 3 weeks the contract was signed. So it was a fast one. Like everything here in China goes very fast.
然后我们龙岩这个项目呢是在09年开始建设，大概到10年的中旬吧，我们3万的试验项目已经完成投产。
中国风能和可再生能源发展应该是广阔，前景广阔。按照规划，到2020年，我国非化石能源比例将达到15%。最近，国家能源局召开了海上风电的推进会，这个涉及到44个项目，总装机是1000万的一个装机规模，核整计划。
In many ways, the things that you do to reduce air pollution are the same things that you might do to reduce carbon emissions. So energy efficiency, shifting to cleaner sources of energy, these types of things, there's a lot of convergence between air and climate policy.
其实风力发电是一个新能源吧，在中国属于比较就是政府支持的一个项目。总归想法是好的，就是说尽量的减少污染嘛。
What made this special was that it's something called intertidal area, where you have high tide and low tide 2 times a day. And even with all the challenges we had on getting components there, getting cranes moved from different locations, we managed to have all turbines installed from August until late December.
虽然说有很多东西就是刚开始的可能做的并不是很好，但是慢慢的我们也会就是像好一点的，比如说我们跟西门子学习，就是学习好一点的，然后尽量减少那个污染。
The countries who have had more time to deal with these types of problems have tremendous expertise to offer China. And I think that's has been the way that China has operated. They've been very willing to learn from other countries.
So we changed our turbine so it suited the Chinese market here and Longyan, so we could get 50 megawatt out of 21 turbines up there. All of these turbines is actually produced here in China, in Lingang, in Siemens factory. Blades, nacelle, hop, towers, everything is produced locally here in China.
然后另外一个呢，就是开展技术创新。我们通过结合国家的一些科技课题，然后结合我们自身已有的施工装备，对我们现有的施工方案进行改良优化。同样的，我们施工的效率从以前的40天施工一台风机，到现在我们1天就可以完成一台风机的基础，2天就能完成吊装。
我们在这边工作，每天要就是在这个工作日之前，必须提前计划，先看一下，比如说我今天要做什么，然后首先先观察一下这边的天气情况，比如说风速有多少，有没有雷电，有没有下雨，然后再根据这些再计划我今天出海要做什么。
And even that big challenge with getting people in and out and the boats in and out and the components in and out, we still managed to install and commissioning these 21 turbines in 7 months up and running.
通过几年来的在这块区域的风电开发，我们跟当地的老百姓之间的关系也从最初的不理解到理解。然后呢，我们建设的一个风机基础，在整个海上将近可能100多台的风机基础，也是在这块养殖区域为老百姓提供了一个救援的一个平台。另外一方面呢，就是说我们的风机基础呢，在海里面形成了一种类似的岛礁效应，对沿海这块的养殖业、渔业形成了有一个比较良好的。人类在发展的过程中，一方面在改变自然环境，另一方面其实也要去适应自然环境。我想只能说在发展的过程中，逐步的跟自然环境达到一种和谐发展。
I think what has to happen is that each country has to find a way that's in its own interests to both continue to grow economically and to reduce its carbon emissions. So I think the fact that there are real businesses developing in clean energy in China is really important because it creates constituencies who are making money, they're generating jobs, and there's an economic growth story there along with the green.
因为现在我觉得就是说现在中国还处于一个发展阶段，所以发展的后果肯定就是带来污染，污染是逃不掉的。大力发展的那种风电的，比如风电啊。那个光伏发电啊、水力发电啊这些新能源，对改善我们周围的环境肯定会有一定的效果。
I have no doubt that China will solve its air pollution problem because it is an immediate, everyday problem that citizens and government officials see when they wake up and they walk out the door.
随着新能源事业的不断发展，非化石能源的比例将不断提升，龙源电力以创建国际一流的新能源上市企业为目标，肩负起绿色动力写社会、蓝天白云留子孙的龙源使命，有信心与全球的同行一起应对全球气候的变化危机。
The people in New York City have really taken to our green man on the street for 24 hours of reality. Perhaps it has something to do with the fact that our intrepid correspondent goes by the name of Ian Somerhalder.
Hey everyone, it's Ian Somerhalder, your green man on the street. I am in New York City right now, where the United Nations is getting ready to go into General Assembly, where this year there will be a massive focus on the issue of climate change. So I'm here to take a bite out of the green apple, to generally assemble and talk to people about a subject that always renews me: hope. How important is this environmental effort to you?
Extremely important.
Why?
Because I don't want my children to grow up and have all these issues to worry about. I think it's like my generation's job to take control of the situation and do better.
Yeah.
And I don't want like my grandchildren to grow up and then be like, oh, like needing water and like looking for water. Like I don't want to be like it to be an issue to find resources that come so easily to us now.
So you're gonna do that now, right?
Of course.
Promise?
I think you swear.
Think you swear? Yeah. Hey, question for you.
Yes.
Where do you work?
I'm a makeup artist. I work everywhere.
Do you?
I do.
What do you think? What can you do at your work to make the world cleaner and greener?
Well, for me, it's really about using less disposables. A lot of times, just for sanitation reasons, I use 1 million mascara wands a day, 1 million lip gloss wands a day. So really using my actual brushes, cleaning off my brushes instead of kind of going for the disposables could really help.
So it just takes a little more time, a little more preparation.
Absolutely.
By the way, we're talking about all this stuff for you, little lady.
Absolutely.
So we can leave this place better for you. Does that sound cool? Yep. She agrees. So you're from Kentucky, right?
Yes, yes. Louisville.
Louisville, it's beautiful, beautiful, beautiful country.
It's very nice.
Question for you.
Yeah.
Coal.
Right.
I'm sure you know a lot about it.
Yeah.
Anything specific?
Anything specific? Coal has been, it's been a moneymaker for the state of Kentucky, but it's not been very good for people's health, and it causes a lot of pollution. My stance on coal is that it could be a lot better. I think there are better ways to gather energy, yeah.
We've definitely been retiring some coal-fired power plants, and I think a big thing people are saying is, well, what all these people they're going to do that work in the coal industry? There's 2 million people in the coal industry, right?
Okay.
Well, we know that alternative energy can create jobs.
Yeah.
We know that for a fact, and we can get the same amount of energy from renewables. We know that.
That's awesome.
So,
yeah, because that's the big thing. That's why they hold. That's one reason why they keep holding on to it, because the job thing, right? So if you can do that, then that'll calm people down and make people happy. You'll have a lot of families in Kentucky that are great people that depend on it for their livelihood, but would love to have a better way.
Every movement has its moment. This is ours. So I'm dedicating a day to do my part. I'm dedicating a day to make a difference. It's time to stand up and stop climate change and turn the solutions that we have into the clean energy future that we want. So come join me. Go to 24hoursofreality.org and help me spread the word by hashtagging the word climate hope.
It's time for a reality check from our millennial documentary filmmaker Vanessa Black and this installment of Youth Fuel, our series on some of the top carbon polluters and climate change deniers in the United States. Now, in this episode, Vanessa travels to Juliet, Georgia to visit the Scherer Power Plant. Now, that's the largest carbon pollution emitter in the United States. Vanessa digs into the coal industry claims about something it likes to call clean coal, to see what the term really means and whether coal plants today are actually able to capture the carbon pollution being spewed into the atmosphere. And what about the customers who want to make a difference and embrace clean renewable technologies that exist now? Well, it turns out not everyone in Georgia is able to go as green as they might like, despite the great advances in technology. Let's take a look.
Here we are in Juliet, Georgia, home of the coal-fired Scherer Power Plant. It's the #1 power polluter in the country, burning 11 million tons of coal per year.
You're looking at 50% of our electricity. Coal. Learn more about America's power.
Does clean coal exist? If so, then how is it that this coal-fired power plant is still the top polluter in the country? In this episode of Youth Fuel, we travel to Juliet, Georgia to investigate Scherer Power Plant and Georgia's power monopoly. Scherer produces the most carbon pollution in America, but how are they being held accountable for the environmental and health impacts both locally and worldwide? From greenhouse gas emissions to hazardous waste, we are going to uncover the reality of America's nastiest neighbor and discover how their carbon pollutes the planet. I'm Vanessa Black. I'm a filmmaker and an activist. I'm traveling around America to find out more about our biggest polluters and climate change deniers. Do you know how your electricity is generated?
Georgia Power, no? The company? Yeah.
Do you know what generates it?
No.
No, I don't either.
What if I told you it comes from burning coal? Would you be surprised?
Yeah, that sounds pretty old-fashioned.
In 2012, Scherer emitted 21.8 million metric tons of carbon dioxide. The average coal-burning power plant only emits 3.5 million.
Energy efficiency only makes sense. Why are you going to pay for more energy if you can find more efficient ways to do it and stop using coal?
and nearly $100 billion spent on clean coal technologies have resulted in real environmental progress.
Clean coal is an idea that greenhouse gases can be captured and stored underground. This technology claims to be environmentally progressive, but the fact of the matter is, it will still produce highly toxic materials as a byproduct of its chemistry. So how can this concept be good for the planet? Companies are investing billions to experiment with this technology. However, as of today, there hasn't been a single kilowatt of energy generated by clean coal.
Things that harm society should actually pay their true costs. It's called Pigovian taxation, and we do it with cigarettes. We tax the hell out of cigarettes because of the harm that they do.
Coal seems cheap, oil seems cheap, but it's not really cheap because there are all of these costs that go along with it that we end up paying for in other ways.
Whether it's the coal we use now or the clean coal of the future, no matter how you look at it, coal is harmful. If you had an alternative energy, would you want it?
Yeah.
Of course.
Hell yeah.
I would like solar. That would be my ultimate dream.
But the fact is, Georgia has no choice.
In Georgia, there was a law passed in 1973 called the Territorial Act, and it basically gives Georgia Power exclusive access to selling energy in the state of Georgia. So it essentially prohibits the expansion of solar energy here in this state because Georgia Power has the exclusive right to sell energy here in our state.
A free market is good for the consumer. It allows for competitive prices. At the end of the day, a carbon tax means more choice.
In order for Georgia Power to meet these emission standards, they're going to have to close down some of the worst polluting coal plants. Scherer obviously is among them.
Currently, the EPA recommends states consider a regional level carbon tax through their Clean Power Plan.
It basically comes down to we're going to have to change the whole paradigm of how we create and distribute energy in Georgia and in the United States. Right now, it's very centralized.
What are some of the other problems with our energy paradigm?
Lawsuits over contaminated water, soil, and air right here in Middle Georgia.
The lawyers filed 13 lawsuits on behalf of 23 Juliet residents, claiming this power plant and this quarry have contaminated the neighborhood.
Can you tell us about your husband and what happened?
He died 12 days after being diagnosed with leukemia. The man 2 doors over died right before my husband did. A friend of mine that lived up the road had breast cancer. The 3 little boys that lived next door had leukemia.
And do people think that it's related to the plant?
I think it is.
There's too many unexplained illnesses. There has to be an explanation of more than they just got sick.
So what does the community say about all of these accidents that are happening and all these reports of illness?
We believe it's coming from the ash ponds. They aren't lined.
They found toxins like arsenic, lead, chromium, and uranium present in their air, water, soil, and bodies. They claim the chemicals come from coal ash at Plant Scherer.
By some accounts, the fly ash emitted by a power plant, a byproduct of burning coal for electricity, carries into the surrounding environment 100 times more radiation than a nuclear power plant producing the same amount of energy. This scary fact is one example of why we need stronger regulations. What happened to your aunt? And she had breast cancer, right?
She had breast cancer that her doctor told her was environmentally caused.
So it's very clear that it's hazardous, and obviously something that's as hazardous as coal ash should be regulated. Unfortunately, when you really question a company like Georgia Power or these oil companies, they meet or exceed all state and federal regulations. And the thing is they're right, they do.
The standards that we hold each other accountable for as far as neighborly duties, they apply to large corporations as well, and we believe that they have forgotten that.
Given the power behind the coal industry, we need to keep their influence in check and challenge the status quo. We need to stand up for stronger regulations that protect the environment and us. Join the growing movement to solve the climate crisis and fuel a cleaner future.
There's so much more to come on 24 Hours of Reality, including another of former Vice President and Climate Reality Project founder Al Gore's reasons to have hope. Conversations with the World Bank's Dr. Jim Kim, Bradley Whitford, Reed Hunt, counselor to President John Podesta, and Lieutenant General Russell Honore. More from our green man on the street, Ian Somerhalder, more field reports you need to see, and music from Boyz II Men, and Fitz and the Tantrums. Now you can see all the highlights of 24 Hours of Reality starting later tonight at 24hoursofreality.org. Now, as we spend the day looking at the solutions that exist to reduce carbon pollution and how they can benefit us all, some simple questions might come to mind. Like, why haven't we acted yet to solve climate change? And why not embrace clean, renewable energy? We think those are pretty great questions. And as the United Nations prepares to convene a special meeting of the world's leaders to collaborate on negotiating a new agreement that can ensure a clean energy future, it's a perfect time to pose some of those questions. And who's better at asking those simple but tough questions than children, right? The Climate Reality Project launched a campaign to hear from the world's young people in their own words. After all, they're the ones with the most to lose and the most to gain. So it's only natural that they'd have a few pointed questions for their leaders. And after this inspiring compilation of young folks from around the world, we'll see a single submission from a future climate leader from the United Kingdom.
My name's Amy Farrett and I live in England.
Hi, I'm Aiden and I'm from Hong Kong.
Hi, my name's Molly and I live in Malaysia.
Hi, I am Mika from South Africa.
I live in Croatia.
I live in Auckland, New Zealand. And I'm from Brazil.
Brazil.
From South Africa.
From France. From the United States.
United States. I'm from Mongolia.
From Malaysia.
From Dubai.
From Romania.
From Mexico City.
From the Philippines. From India.
From India.
Western Australia.
So my question for all world leaders is this.
And my question to the government bodies is?
My question to the UN is?
And I guess the first thing I want to say. The first question I want to ask.
My question is? My question.
My question.
My question.
My question.
I'd like to question.
I would like to ask.
I'm asking members of the UN.
Why do you sit here and pretend?
Why are we letting companies freely pollute the atmosphere?
Why are you allowing the palm oil industry to destroy Malaysian rainforests?
Why do global economic policies consistently stimulate and encourage reliance on burning fossil fuels?
Why is there no more emphasis on developing a generation who can take responsibility for the causes of climate change?
Why, in South Africa, a country overflowing with sunlight, don't we use solar panels?
Why not countries with similar consumption formulate region-specific laws and targets for the next decade?
Why not to put pressure on these companies to change their methods?
Why don't governments start creating sustainable modes of transport?
Para preservar o bem mais precioso que existe no planeta.
Why not change our focus, leave animosity and hatred and competition behind?
Why not incentivize people to use energy more efficiently?
Why not invest more resources in communities?
Why not strive to reduce carbon emissions?
Everyone has a stake in what happens to our planet.
The global problem requires a global solution.
It's time to act. So what are you waiting for?
My name's Amy Farrett and I live in England. And what I want to start off with today is the question of, why do you sit here and pretend? Now this question goes out to the leaders of our world. The ones we put here to protect and make our world a better place. When in my eyes, they do very little to protect our natural side of our planet, like global warming and climate change. Now I'm only 12. What do I know about governments and leaders and presidents? But everyone does know that they have money and a lot of it. So why are you sitting here with more money than you could ever count and do nothing? Why do you sit here and pretend you're doing something? Why do you sit here and do a speech? Get up and do something yourself. You talk the talk, but you don't walk the walk. And I know every single one of us, plant, human, creature, animal, has been affected by the climate change, by the global warming this world now has to face because you don't do anything about it.
Over the course of our show, you've been hearing about and seeing the work of some of the Climate Reality Project's climate leaders. Today, there are thousands of these climate leaders across the globe, people from all walks of life who range from teens to professionals who share one thing in common. They're passionate about the issue of climate change. Started by founder Al Gore to help spread the message about climate change, the program takes great leaders and makes them exceptional. Every year, trainings are hosted in locations all over the world. The activists who attend to learn how to speak out on climate change in their own communities and in their own ways. Now, the highlight of the sessions, of course, is when no other than Al Gore himself spends a day working with attendees, giving them tips on presenting his famous slideshow. The climate leaders have garnered laurels and attention for spreading the word on climate and inspiring others to act. Now, maybe the greatest part about this program is that anyone can commit to becoming a climate leader. So if you're interested, be sure to go to climaterealityproject.org to find out about upcoming trainings. We hear the next one might just happen in Brazil. Not bad, right, guys? And now, in this next video, we're going to meet one climate leader whose efforts have been so successful, she's gained recognition from the White House. Dr. Susan Pacheco.
I couldn't sleep. It was like a child without water. I just kept drinking and drinking. I needed to know more, not only about the issue of climate, but what could I do? I'm a pediatrician. I work with kids that are very ill. There's that love, there's that concern, there's that responsibility, and there's that desire to shelter that is, sometimes it pains you as a parent. So when it comes to something with climate, it's like, it just moves me. It will compromise the health of the population of the world, period. There is clear-cut data in the medical literature. It's not my opinion, it's fact. How do I protect the kids? My first training was in 2006. And after that, I started mentoring. What Climate Reality Project is doing is bringing people from all backgrounds and sharing the message in our own voices and with our own story. I discovered that the health issue was neglected in the climate initiative. It just became my driving force. Polar bears are cute, but again, it's humans. At the end of the day, it's humans. As a mother, I can talk to other mothers and share my knowledge about climate so that we create networks. As a teacher, I can talk to other teachers so that they can transfer that information to the kids. The point is that if one person screams, it will not be the same as a group singing in harmony. I think that leadership is about hope. You see, and we cannot see the sun here, even though it's a sunrise. But it's there, you know, the sun is out. That's the meaning of hope. No matter what, it's there.
All right, time flies when you're having green fun, you guys, and I just found out actually in this next hour, Corinna Gore from Religions for the Earth is going to be here, so I know you're going to want to stick around for that. And here's some more proof that you need to stick around. We just wrapped up an environmentally friendly hour number 9. We are trucking along. I hope you guys have enjoyed our exploration about how businesses everywhere are getting on board as they learn that going green is good for the bottom line. Now, this has been such a positive experience that I've decided to greenlight our next hour, which I like to call Hour 10, right? Just thought of that myself. The unstoppable Al Gore will be back, as will I, of course, and more informative and inspiring field reports that you guys do not want to miss. This event, like this cause, is very much ongoing, so we look forward to seeing you guys in Hour 10. Don't forget to do your part. You can make a world of difference. Go to 24hoursofreality.org to dedicate a day to climate action.